In this week's Torah portion, Parashat Vayera, the Torah returns again and again to a single inner truth. Pharaoh's heart is hardened. It tells us this repeatedly, plague after plague, pausing the story to describe not only what happens to the Israelites, but what happens inside Pharaoh, their oppressor. The Exodus is a great story of power and miracles. Yet again and again, it returns to the condition of the heart. The Torah understands something painfully human, that oppression does not only live in systems and in rulers, it lives in the gradual hardening of the heart. By example, Pharaoh teaches us that hearts calcify slowly, decision by decision. Each small refusal makes the next one easier. And in the same way, small acts of open-heartedness can shape who we become. We know this pattern well. We are living in a moment when suffering, abroad and even here at home in our country, reaches us daily. And we are given endless opportunities to scroll right past it, to look away, to tell ourselves that perhaps the Jewish community has suffered enough, that if pain does not touch us directly, it is not ours to bear. What's striking is that the Torah doesn't use just one word to describe Pharaoh's heart. The language shifts as the story unfolds. At first, Pharaoh's heart is described as chazak, stiff, rigid, and unyielding. Then the Torah calls his heart kaved, heavy and dulled by its own resistance. And finally, his heart becomes kasheh, hard, calloused, and closed. The Torah is teaching us that hearts do not harden all at once. They move slowly and quietly from strength to heaviness to hardness. It is no coincidence that our liturgy speaks so often about the heart and its capacity to shape our behavior. The prayers we recite respond directly to the danger that the Torah is warning us about in this portion. Elohai Netzor, which the choir in the loft sang so beautifully after our silent meditation, asks for restraint. Guard my speech, help me practice humility, and then it asks us, P'tach libi b'toratecha, open my heart to your Torah. In a world that trains us to look away and to narrow our concern, our liturgy, our prayer book, asks us to see that a truly hardened heart never asks to be opened, but Jewish prayer always does. Our liturgy assumes something radical about the human condition, that the heart is not fixed, that it can still be shaped, that it can be taught to remain open even when the cost of caring feels high. This next piece, which you hopefully have in front of you on a source sheet, is a piyut called Shachar Avakeshcha, written in the 11th century by the great poet and philosopher Solomon ibn Gabirol. The poem opens with a moment in time, the dawn. Dawn is a threshold. Ibn Gabirol describes light as the force that clarifies, that differentiates, and that gives form, just as God's light did at the beginning of creation. And it is precisely at this hour, between uncertainty and clarity, that the poet chooses to seek God. Not when the world is fully illuminated, but in this fragile in-between. This is a poem for moments like ours, when the world can feel so heavy and unclear. It is a poem of a heart that has opened itself and now allows light to enter, even when that light reveals a pain that we would rather not see. After asking for an open heart, this piyut imagines what might happen next, a heart that allows God to see its thoughts and its longings, its confusion, and trusts that light can clarify rather than overwhelm. מחשבות ליבי. מה זה אשר וכל הלב והלשון לעשות ומה כוח רוחי בתוך קרבי. הנה לך תיטב זמרת אנוש, על כן עודך באור תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Shachar Avakeshcha leaves us standing in the light of dawn, seen and exposed. And once the heart has been opened, the question shifts again. It is no longer, will God see me? The question becomes, what will I allow myself to see? Where is God to be found in a world where suffering is distant enough to ignore, yet close enough to demand a response? Ya Ana Emsa'acha was written by Yehuda Halevi, one of the greatest Jewish poets and philosophers of medieval Spain. In this piyut, Halevi gives voice to one of the oldest questions of faith: God, where can I find you? The answer is not philosophical, it's experiential. God is both exalted and hidden, and yet God's kavod fills the world. This is not a poem of certainty, but one of searching. Pharaoh's heart hardens and remains sealed within itself, but Halevi imagines another possibility, a heart that seeks, that calls, a heart that does not limit compassion only to what feels safe or familiar, and finds God coming toward it. Yana emtacha mekomcha nala v'ne'elam ve'ana lo emtacha kevodcha malei olam. Yana emtacha mekomcha nala v'ne'elam ve'ana lo emtacha kevodcha malei olam. Darashti kirvatcha bechol libi karaticha uvetzayeti likrati metzati. מקומך נעלה ונעלם ואנה לא אמצאך כבודך מלא עולם. From Exodus, we learn the danger of a hardened heart. From liturgy, we learn that God is never absent. And through prayer, we learn how to open ourselves to meet what might already be near. May we use every opportunity to soften our hearts instead of harden them, to open instead of look away, and to embrace what is possible. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will.